Today is, oops, sorry. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, March 4th. This is a rescheduled regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen. It is 8:30 a.m. Before you have today's agenda. I have two additions to request for today's agenda. The first being the addition of the Dunning Stadium scoreboard play clocks project. And then the second is the addition of a internal audit, right? That's what I'm calling it. I don't see anything on in my thing for internal audit approval. Yes, internal audit approval. Okay, thank you. So do I have?
So moved.
Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, and then you also have the minutes from our regularly scheduled meeting on February 25th, 2025. Any additions or corrections?
None here.
All right, if I could get a motion to approve the minutes from our regular meeting on February 25th.
So moved.
It's unanimous. Okay, public comments. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments to the Board of Selectmen on agenda topics scheduled for review and or vote. Comments submitted electronically should be sent to the following email address, bosdistribution@newcanaanct.gov. Do I have anyone wishing to make comment? Okay. Next item is internal audit with Bill Bradley.
Put it like in the agenda. It's generally given.
She will on the minutes.
Okay, hopefully that's working. Good morning. I'm here as part of member of the audit committee, the town's audit committee, to recommend that the selectmen approve the statement of work that we have negotiated with Clifton Larson Allen to do some internal audit work for us. As you may recall, the audit committee has been looking at two firms. We've signed one master services agreement with Clifton Larson Allen. We're close to getting another MSA signed with Cohen Resnick, but for this particular project, we would be working with Clifton Larson Allen. And just to big picture level set everything, the audit committee scope includes, and it's in the town ordinance, a review of things like internal controls, internal procedures. So this is not a review of like the financial statements and the outside auditor looking at that. The focus is this is really internally, how do we do things? How can we improve things? And the project that the committee elected to come up with, and the reason why I'm here, we have sort of a very informal subcommittee. I'm chair of the subcommittee on this internal audit project, is to really look at sort of end-to-end procure to pay. So from the very beginning of when the town thinks about buying something, all the way to the end, how does that vendor get paid and how's the accounting get paid? So this would be a 12-week project. I think it's $58,500. It would be looking at the procurement side of things. It would be looking at vendor management. It would be looking at any town credit cards that are being used. And I know that the town has very recently cut back on the number of credit cards, which is a great thing. And then, finally, it would be the overall accounts payable process. This will include both the town as well as the schools. And both Deanna and Brian Litzy are very much up to speed and aware of this. I think it will be a very good exercise. We also want to look at, are there areas of opportunity for efficiencies? Is there anything with the Muni system that we can add, take advantage of so that people aren't replicating 3 different Excel spreadsheets and then putting it into the Munis system? Is there a module that we can go right into Munis to save time, hopefully cut down on some risk, and just make life more efficient for everybody? So it's really focusing on controls, processes, procedures, documentation. It may be very well that we're doing everything great, but there's some areas that we're not fully documented, which is what we should be doing. And there may be some other areas that, we're fully documented, but maybe we're not quite adhering to what we think we should be doing. So this will be going in and looking at that. It will be selectively auditing for the 4 areas that I talked about and coming back with some recommendations for us. Here's where we think you should change. Here's where we think you guys are doing well. And I look at this, the underlying objective is to get the town at the end of this to come out in a better position, so that, the processes are more efficient. Everyone has a clear understanding of documentation, policies, procedures, and controls. And included in this will be a review, what's the process for things that might have a conflict of interest or related party transactions? How do we document that? So that'll be included in the scope. Capital projects are not included in this. That could be a whole nother kind of exercise, if you will. This is really looking at what I'm going to call operating expenses, not capital, and it doesn't include payroll as well or benefits. And just a little bit more context, I think going back to 2016, I'm aware of at least 6 sort of projects before. They were much more sort of targeted. I think there was an IT payroll audit done in 16. I think special purpose accounts in 16. There was controls over town's receipts was done in 17. I think there was something that was done on the school, on the athletic fields, and a few others. So a very sort of targeted. This one is looking at sort of broadly speaking, what are the processes for spending money, starting from, hey, I think we might need this, all the way to the vendor. So I think it's money well spent, and the audit committee recommends that we go ahead and do this.
So can I ask a question? So it's where we spend money, but it's not payroll and it's not capital, which is where we spend most of our money.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yep. We are going, well, first of all, we have done, according to my records, there has been a payroll audit done before. And then we were trying to actually get capital and OpEx done at the same time. So my guess is as soon as we're done with this, and this is probably a 12-week project, we would then jump into the capital side of it.
Which would be another ask in this dollar amount to come in.
Probably, yeah.
So from the audit committee, what is it that you guys see that makes you think this is really critical for us to do?
I don't think,
again, we're taking out like where we spend most of the money. Payroll's out,
yep.
and capital projects. So
sure. I think the issue is this is very good financial hygiene for any organization. My background, which is very corporate oriented, this would be, a normal kind of thing to do every couple of years. And I think, my discussions with some of the people in town is I think they look forward to this. I think there are areas where our documentation or our controls might not be exactly up to snuff, or maybe they need updating. And I think this will help us update, because to get to an area where we ultimately have full-blown reliance on the financial statements, I think you have to make sure that this is a good way. So we will get to capital. I think this was the way to kind of start off and looking at all the operating expenses. As I said, my understanding is that payroll has already been done a number of years ago, but we will get to capital. The master services agreements that we have, they're good for 5 years. So, we negotiate each statement of work. So this is a negotiated SOW, and covering a very specific kind of project, and we can come back with another one, right?
I'm sorry. So did you say it covers 5 years? They would come back, but we'd have to pay them more money if they came back, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So,
but we don't have to, is my point.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if it goes through and say this needs to be updated, this needs to be updated, they're not updating it. They're just telling us we need to update it. This is just kind of highlighting, this is how you do it, and this is where we think you should fix it. And then is there a game plan that you say to the town, you need to do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, there will be some sort of recommendations, and I think then the decision will be based upon the degree and scope of those recommendations. Is this something the town can and should implement on its own? Does it need somebody else to help? So we'll take a look at it there. So as part of this exercise, they're not implementing any changes or recommendations.
Yeah, so that would come back to you, Bill. Technically, the audit committee would then take the information, and then you'd probably come back to us or town council as well,
right,
and report on the findings, or how would that work?
Yeah, we're doing this one project at a time.
Yeah.
So this is not unleashing a gate load of projects that, we have a liability or commitment for.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the deliverables, it's pretty straightforward what they'll do. I mean, it's a typical, internal look at what we're doing.
Yeah,
And it's all pretty straightforward as far as the deliverables go. And it's, like you said before, I mean, it's a healthy exercise for the town to
yes,
look at itself in the mirror and make sure that everything is going well. And
Right.
usually, when we've done these in the past, we've have gained some improvement on the way we do things. So it's a healthy thing to do.
right.
It's just whenever we just went through the budget and we looked for every $60,000 we could find. So now
I'm
we're-
sure. Yeah, I know. Look, believe me, every penny. My personal view is every penny is very meaningful, and that's been my approach throughout my career. But I honestly think this is money very well spent.
So this is actually, in the future for the audit committee, that if we get ahead of the front of it and get into the budget cycle, and then do you anticipate like a second module next year that we could budget for, or?
Yeah, as I said, we could be then jumping to, let's talk about the process for capital,
Yeah.
right? Or it could be, and we're talking about overall processes, or it could be, let's look at a particular, capital project, not the overall processes around all the capital spend, but here's a particular project. So we can make that determination. Yeah. Yep.
And the funds will come out of,
Yeah, where are the funds?
Contingency.
okay.
Okay.
Internal audit line finance. Okay, good.
I guess, one of the things that, and it's always great to have stuff looked at, right? And but I just hope the audit committee, a lot of you guys come from big public sector businesses. We're $170 million enterprise, right? We're not $1 billion and stuff. And just in terms of when there has to be some, reflection about the size of the organization and the expense associated with this in going forward. So I would just ask the audit committee, realize we're not a multi-billion-dollar corporation, that if you do this, it's kind of a little drop in the bucket. I mean, we sit here and we beat up people for $10,000.
Right.
I mean, we do it all the time, with love. And so I'm sitting here and I'm going, okay, so it's just this. But then I hear we're going to come back for capital, which I guess I would like to see capital done. But it's like, audit has a broad mandate, but I just do hope you all focus on it in terms of the context of the size of our institution, the taxpayers. And there's a lot of really nice to haves, but
Sure.
unless there's like huge, really concerns, I think we got to be careful about how we bring in consultants all the time. So that's my concern.
Okay, duly noted. But I think everybody on the audit committee is very, just given, notwithstanding sort of the big corporate, your comment about that, I think everyone's very cost conscious of this. I mean, we've actually, negotiated some of this SOW pretty hard on some of the fees and stuff. So.
And Bill, as far as the actual work goes, I'm hoping that we're not going to spend a lot of time asking folks internally, and taking away from their actual day jobs. I'm hoping that's not a.
Well, so it's about a 12, they do have to have a round of interviews with people, right? So I don't anticipate, those are largely going to be like individual interviews with all the key players. And I don't think that'll be a huge amount of time. I think what might be some time, and probably Ann and her team and Sean and his team on the schools, I think getting the documentation, that might be a little bit of time, but it'll be, because that's going to be like one of the first requests, like, can you give us the documentation that says, here are your internal procedures, and this is what you're supposed to be doing, so that we can then take a look at it. And then they are interviewing people, let's call it, I don't know, an hour and a half, something like that.
And that'll be post budget approval, like after April, first weekend.
Yeah, if it's a 12-week project. I mean, I think we would like to get going as soon as we can with,
for these guys, this time of year is like this is crunch time, but
I appreciate that. Yep.
I don't know if Anne's rolling her eyes over there or not, but I can. Yeah.
But in terms of budget, like if the audit committee, if you guys had your back burner that maybe we look at capital. I think we should try to build it into the budget, right? I mean, rather than just say we'll pop it out of contingency, because right now.
Well,
we're-
she has it in that, I was.
For next year?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, just to make sure. All right.
Well, Bill, I applaud you for stepping up. I saw you volunteer for the subcommittee and I knew that you were in for it. So anytime you raise your hand, say, yeah, I'll take that on.
Yeah.
This is a pretty big job. So thank you for doing that. What do we need to do?
We need to, I don't have anything on this motion.
Yeah.
There was nothing given to me on this motion.
Oh,
And I don't think Bill's,
I don't have, can you give that to me? Is this was an add-in agenda.
that was a motion to approve the Clifton.
number one.
That's Dunning. I have Dunning.
Is a statement of work added to the,
Yeah,
our
I don't have
documents?
that.
I know we have the email of it, but
None of us
That's what
have
I
it.
asked, and you said, when I said it can leave.
Nope. Okay. Perfect. All right.
but we have to add that.
We already
Right,
added
we
it
did.
in. Yeah, at the beginning.
No, but
the
into
agenda.
the.
Oh, yeah. And
our
this needs to
records.
be put in the, it's not on the tablets either. It needs to be put in the tablets. Okay, great. Okay. So if I could get a motion to approve a request from the audit committee for a statement of work under the previously approved master service agreement with Clifton Larson Allen LLP or CLA in the amount of $58,500.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Bill.
Bill. Okay.
Well, thank the rest of the committee for us as well.
All right, next item on the agenda is vehicle accessories. Approve, and that is with Captain Franga.
Morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Yeah, we are looking for $6,925 to spend to upfit the new animal control vehicle that we bought. So this is with specialty warning, and this amount puts us over our fiscal year spending of $10,000, which is why we are here. So no, one other note here, I don't know if it's on your paper, but the shipping is estimated at about $80 just to have a complete quote. So there shouldn't be any surprises afterwards if when shipping gets added, that's happened in the past.
Can you just talk, so this is the animal control vehicle?
Yeah,
So
we,
they need, is this sirens and all that stuff on this? And
so it gets
they need this?
modified stuff. It gets a light bar, like yellow lights
Mhm.
and decals, so it's identifiable as an animal control and police vehicle. But the lights are important because these in the road a lot, and so these use the car to provide safety if he's picking up an animal or trying to do something like that. And it's just traditional.
it's not
from
like
what
the
they're
lights are
on.
going on because they're rushing to get an animal. It's more just
Oh, no,
safety.
no.
for
Yeah, it's
everyone involved.
safety, more safety for the handler when he's on the scene and trying to wrangle an animal or pick something up off the road.
And the previous vehicle had all this fitting
Yes,
out.
it did. It's just they were completely different vehicles, so it doesn't transfer to the new one. And the previous one is so old and outdated that it wouldn't fit anyway, but we just need to get a fresher light bar.
What is the new vehicle? What did we get in there?
Equinox 21 Chevy Equinox we got.
Okay.
So it's great. Car's working out great. So the other one was a 2012, I believe, Dodge Caravan. It's seen its fair share of animals, so
Okay.
it's time to go.
And so, is this 6925? Is that it for the rest of the year with specialty warnings?
That will for the year, maybe.
Because you know why I'm asking, right?
Yeah, but that's why we're here. So I thought,
And you want to come up?
no, I know where you're going with this,
Yeah,
but I
but
don't
you-
think we have any projected
Seriously.
expenses this fiscal year for specialty.
Yeah, that's kind of the,
I don't believe, we don't right now. We don't right now. So unless something came up that we weren't anticipating,
okay,
we don't have any projected expenses this
Right.
fiscal year for them.
okay. Because I know this brought you over, but then it should be the next 10 before, there should be a PO put in place if there's more that you think that,
Yeah, if they think in the next.
Yeah, no,
three
we
months,
don't.
but
This
if-
is the only car we're getting that needs to be upfitted this
between now
fiscal
and the end
year.
of the fiscal year.
Yeah. No, it would only be if something popped up that we weren't anticipating.
Okay, Okay, all right.
You know, it doesn't include like if something breaks or, you know, where you need to replace something. But as far as actual other vehicles, you don't have any other vehicles.
No,
that are
there's none
damaged
other.
or what.
Right, no others that are getting light bars and sirens and things like that.
Not to get in the minutia, but did you say there's an $80 expense that's not listed here? Should we?
No,
Is that included?
they included shipping, but he estimated it at $80. Because Jennifer was saying, yes, in the past, these have come through where this vendor didn't have shipping because he didn't know it because the order wasn't placed. And then when it gets added after the fact, it changes the amount that is approved and that causes issues. So we just asked them the estimated amount.
So it's in the
It's in,
estimate. Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Questions? All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the New Canaan Police Department to enter into a contract with Specialty Warning in the amount of $6,925.08 for vehicle accessories for the New Canaan Animal Control Vehicle.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you. All right, and then PD purchase order.
So this is with Angel Armor for the ballistic vests for the officers, the replacements. So the vest replacements are on calendar year cycles every 5 years. And so far this year, we've spent $9,741 with this vendor. This is the last purchase we will need this fiscal year of 6 vests. And we have money between 2 accounts to cover it all. And this will be encumbering an older account, I believe it's fiscal year 23, that will be depleted, and then taking out of fiscal year 25 to cover this. And then in April, we apply for the next bulletproof the federal grant that covers 50% of vest costs. So we'll have that moving forward to offset costs for the vests also.
So is this net of the 50% coverage?
This is not, because currently we've depleted the grant that we had previously. But it is possible, I don't want to misspeak, but it is possible that once we apply in April, we can apply that. If this order is placed after April 1st, we can apply it towards this.
So they're $1,500 a piece.
They're about $1,500 a piece, yeah.
And this is a federal grant that you apply for this, or is it?
I think it's Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest Grant annually, and that covers 50% of vest cost, up to 50%.
Okay. All right, and have you guys heard anything about potentially not getting the federal grant given sort of where stuff stands?
No, haven't heard that we wouldn't get it.
Money?
I think as long as we apply, it's pretty much guaranteed. I mean, even in the literature they sent out about it opening up again in April. So like, pretty much apply, and then it'll take 3 to 6 months before they start dispersing funds. But it's like, as long as you order after you've applied, you can apply that towards once it's granted.
Okay.
But I don't anticipate we wouldn't get it.
Did you say they have a 5-year useful life?
Yeah, they're 5 years from manufacture date is what they guarantee.
Is that because they keep changing the standards? I mean, how do the actual product
I can tell you,
change? I mean, they changed in the past from lighter materials and stuff like that, but is it,
I think it's that's the longest they're willing to put their name on something being effective.
Okay.
Over the years, we've definitely at the range with our special response team have taken really old vests, and tried them, and they still offer ballistic protection on a tree. But because they say that, they will absolutely step back if there's a problem and it's past that 5 years and an officer's injured because they're still wearing a vest beyond the recommended time. So we just replace them every 5 years per their recommendation.
Any questions? All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the New Canaan Police Department to approve a blanket purchase order with Angel Armor in the amount of $10,000 for the purchase of new ballistic vest. Yes,
So
second?
it's unanimous.
Thank you.
nice job.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Greg, Tiger, and Ryan, Small Town Economic Assistance Program grant.
Good morning.
Morning.
Very happy to be with you.
Have you back, Greg?
Very happy.
So this resolution is for you to authorize the first selectman to apply for and receive a grant should we be awarded the grant for the Waveney Park All-Inclusive Playground. The application was submitted And the grant program, you know, they always want to know that the town has support for this. So public support will be expressed by you and that we will go ahead if we were to get the grant. Some towns, you know, back away and that's frustrating. So I'll try to be brief and yet thorough at the same time. So the Small Town Economic Assistance Program is particularly for municipalities that are not urban centers and not designated as distressed or public investment communities. So that's good. We're looking at a $775,000 project, and we're asking for $300,000 of support. The local match is more than that, which is great, 325,000, which has already been authorized. The gentleman to my right can speak if you like. And we're also, we told the state in the application that we hope and expect to receive $150,000 from the private Friends of Waveney Playground Group. The project could go forward without that private funding. It will not go forward without the grant request at this time. At least it would be put on hold. So that's that.
So
Steep,
Greg, it would just be a downsized project. If we don't get the private fundraising, we would just do a downscaled project at Waveney.
Correct.
Based on the $625,000 of the town's commitment and the grant.
Correct.
yes. Steep favors shovel-ready projects, and this qualifies. It favors grant programs where the match is larger than it has to be and where funds have been secured. And so those are all, we meet all of those qualifications. They expressly find as priorities recreational facility projects and projects that support children and families. So again, this is a good fit. And the story, you know, is more than us filling a gap in our facilities at Waveney, which doesn't have a playground. But it brings together children with and without special needs. And that's really a huge value. As again, these guys can speak to more thoroughly, but so the benefit is bringing the kids together so they learn from this equipment and they learn from being together. Gentlemen, anything to add?
I mean, we approved this playground a couple years ago. I can't remember exactly which cycle it was. And does anyone remember what we thought the cost was going to be then?
So the budget was $455,000 and that included the fitness area as well. So
Which the fitness area that you put in?
it's complete.
Okay, so it was 425. We thought that would do the fitness area and
55.
455, excuse me,
Yes.
455. And did we as the town commit to 455 or the 300?
455 was the,
With the adult or the
Fitness area.
redoing the fitness area. So
Right.
we've already finished that area.
I believe when that was approved, as far as the port and place surfacing too, that kind of drives the cost, but that allows for all inclusive, but as opposed to wood chips, which I think was the initial thought.
Right.
So
So that
that drives the cost as well.
So when we approved this, we thought 425 would get both, right? Okay, so we've already put in the fitness area. What's that cost us?
About 117,000.
Okay, 117.
So we have about 370 remaining town funding.
Okay. And what if we don't get the grant? What do we do?
And they'll have to fundraise for the remainder, or we'll have a $325 or $375
Yeah.
playground.
Exactly.
So it's either a downscaled playground.
Yeah.
Or, you know, the private entity will have to fundraise more to
Yeah.
get whatever additional things.
So has the playground morphed from what we thought we were going to put in to what the goal is now, right? I mean, this is not just all inflation, right? This is it expanded objective in what we're putting in? I mean, 'cause it's just a big difference, right? For 455 for both of them, right? So we're in for 117 right now. We have 390 left over. The total cost of this is 775. So you get 775 plus 117 is kind of the total amount, right? Which is almost $900,000 for two play areas.
So as far as the fitness area goes, we did not want to downsize at all as far as what currently stands in that area. There's, I'm just going to say 12 components. We wanted to match all 12 components and make sure that we didn't downsize as far as the fitness area goes. And then for the playground, that's an additional element that we're bringing to Waveney. And I'm not quite sure as far as the funding, the initial funding, how that was calculated.
Yeah, I'm just kind of.
Well, we
laying it
already
out.
talked about the
Yeah.
port in place was not part of the original. About how much do you think the port in place?
$26 a square foot. So the bigger the playground will drive the cost for the port and place surfacing. So.
Is it fair to say that the not-for-profit part of this is sort of driving the expansion of the project?
Absolutely.
And so hence,
Yeah.
you know, now we all have to remember a bigger playground, once it needs to be replaced.
Is ours.
Is ours. So, you know, maybe we put in the record that if they want to redo this, this is going to have to be a public-private partnership, because you've put in a big asset that wasn't probably what we were going to put in. If they end up raising and we get this grant, you are now committing the town, when it needs to be redone, to a much bigger asset to replace than maybe what was originally
Which
envisioned.
exactly happened with the $117,000 of the fitness center, because initially we got grant money to put that in.
No,
Correct.
that was originally a donation.
A donation, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
grant,
it was
donation,
all,
whatever. But, and then,
privately
so
funded.
that gets old.
Mm,
And then
right.
we have to replace it for $117,000. I mean, I'm just gonna, look, it would all be great, but we basically had a project that we all thought was gonna be 455,000. All in, it's now about 900. That being said, we're assuming 300 is from the state and 150 is from generous donations.
Right.
But it's almost double in expenses that we initially thought. I just think people should really, I mean, and there's inflation and all that stuff, I get it, but I guess perhaps the scope change, we made it
Has
nicer.
changed some, mainly with the all-inclusive
Mhm.
extra features. That's where the scopes really changed. The prices have gone through the roof on both the port in place and the equipment itself too, but not doubling it.
And the fencing, I think originally fencing wasn't envisioned. Now, because of the nature of the playground, they want to add fencing. So, I mean, there have been a lot of
Yeah.
modifications to this project since the original approval.
When did we originally approve it? How long ago?
It's pre-made.
2021.
Yeah, okay, so this is a
Yeah.
long gestation period, right?
I mean, one thing about doing it the first time is that we're sort of breaking ground where we had the expense of, clearing the land and putting the foundation in and getting everything, the port in place done. If we did replace it, likely we would have to redo the surface maybe, and the equipment, but we wouldn't have all that prep work to,
Oh, hope springs eternal.
well,
Steve.
hopefully. I mean, I'm thinking about the platform itself, because right now it's just grass, right? I mean, you're putting it on, you're starting from scratch. So the next time we do this, we wouldn't have that kind of expense.
How
but-
much of the overall expense? I mean, I don't know how detailed you've gotten into the estimates, but how much do you think is the prep work as a percentage or as a dollar figure?
It really depends on the scale of the playground, the total square footage. I'm
Is
trying
it
to
Is there a
designed?
rule of
If we- if
thumb
we
for
wanted-
prep work
yeah,
on these projects? No.
Not exactly.
No.
We're working on a rule of thumb
Okay.
so we can figure it out. If you add this, it's easy to figure the square footage of the port in place.
Yeah.
But that's going to be that much more excavation, that type of thing. So we're working on that, but no, we don't.
Is it designed right now? Is it designed what we're gonna go in? Or
Nah.
are we still working on, we think this is what it's gonna cost?
We are still working, ultimately, we're still working on what we think it's gonna cost, because it's the extra elements, what you pick and choose. Like, there's one that looks really nice, but one kid could use it at a time, and it's a huge square footage footprint. So we probably won't go that route.
So, and, to be fair, getting or not getting the steep grant will
Drive. some of
drive
those.
Oh, yeah.
design.
Okay.
Right.
That's the problem. We have the area. We know exactly where it's going to be. We know what it's going to look like in the
Not sure
surrounds.
what's going in.
But until we know the monies that are available, you can't design the actual. You can have various areas. Ryan's done a fantastic job of trying to, scale them for small to large, but we don't know exactly where we're going to fall yet.
So from a town perspective, from what we initially approved to now, do we have $370,000 left?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Correct.
Can you put a playground in for 370?
Much smaller scale. Much
We
smaller.
either get the grants, which allows us to do the adaptive, or if we don't get the grant, the folks who are working to raise the money will figure out how much they can raise and then what can go in, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
One of the things that Mike Dino and the Canaanite recently interviewed Monica Capella, and
correct,
it was a very good interview that at least gives you some behind the scenes history of the playground, but it also laid out some of the conceptual drawings of what the playground could look like. And I think the committee did a nice job, at least letting the public know that this is going on. And it's a continuing conversation. As Greg said, our job is to be enthusiastic about it, which I think we all are.
Yeah.
But obviously in town, you can't do something halfway here, especially when it comes to kids and safety. So we have to be able to get this right. And to me, that grant is a huge part of it. So if we don't get this grant, then we're almost back to square one and figuring this out. So a lot of pressure on you, Greg, right now. So,
I just wanted to add one more thing. I just want to add one more thing seriously about what I learned in doing this application is the value of that port and play, which you guys all know from Mead Park. In Monica's interview, I'm sure she got into that, but it allows for wheelchairs to get out, so you're not dealing with wood chips or sand or anything else that sometimes you see in playgrounds, and strollers as well. So it is expensive and it's hugely valuable.
I believe the schools are also each school is looking at converting out their playground with this kind of surface because they've had a few broken arms that they don't want to have anymore. So,
They're on a wood chip basis.
yeah,
so-
yeah. So
The washouts.
Winter time, when school's in session, if the wood chips can freeze, and then you don't have the fall protection.
okay.
And the playgrounds, I mean, if you ever go by Mead Park on a sunny day, wow, there are so many, it's fun. I mean, there's a lot of people.
well, part of this is
Using it.
like demonstrating need. And if you go up to Waveney, all the soccer games that go on and all the activities, the baseball, softball games that'll be up there, and all those young siblings and cousins and relatives that are up there visiting. I mean, when you look at that and then you know that we don't have a playground there, it's kind of amazing that, parents over the years have had to chase kids off of the handicap or not, I don't know, handicapable equipment that we have there, whatever the playground was there.
The adult fitness area.
Adult
Yep,
fitness
yeah.
area. And that we talked about that going into this, how unsafe that stuff was, as it got older. So I'm still at a point where I am 100% on board with getting this done because there is a need up there, strong need. And as long as it's done right, the colors are right, I think it's going to be great up there. So I'm excited.
All right. So do I just need to read the whereas section or what do I need to read into the record for this? Because it's a grant.
I would read the part that begins the Board of Selectmen of the Town of New
Oh, I have
Canaan.
to read all of that. Okay. All right. So are there any other questions? All right. So if I could get a motion to approve a request from the grant writer authorizing the first selectman to receive a possible steep grant as follows. The Board of Selectmen of the Town of New Canaan, one, resolve that first selectman Deanna Carlson be and hereby is authorized to accept on behalf of the Town of New Canaan a 2025 Connecticut steep grant in the amount of $300,000 in funds, maybe add an in there,
Of funds.
to construct an all abilities playground in Waveney Park. And two, further resolve that first selectman Deanna Carlson is hereby authorized to enter into and execute any and all agreements, contracts, and documents necessary to obtain said 2025 steep grant with the state of Connecticut. I have a motion.
So
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Good luck, Greg.
Okay, and then
Go get them.
who's presenting Dunning? Okay,
I think Anna's, Anna, are you presenting the done?
I think I have.
Oh, yeah, we have.
I think we're going to Dunning. We're going to Dunning. Sorry, not you yet. Okay, we can go to Motorola. That's fine. It's
Sorry?
fine. I was like, I just asked for Dunning and now we're at Motorola all bands.
Do we amend
Sorry.
things? Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, you can.
Yeah, well, I had to add it into the, so I was doing two grants at the same time, but I guess not. Okay. All right. Motorola all band radios.
Correct. As was budgeted in the 25 year. This is for the last of the Motorola all bands. I actually was looking to get 3 more in the future year. I removed it from my budget request because I feel we have met the need given these 3. And these are just like the ones that we got for fire. And the one I have for OEM is for interoperability with our neighbors and not only our neighbors, our internal players, state and federal. And in particular, it's a small cash for our management team in the event of major issues that we are able to have a resilient communication system to manage emergencies. And also it's a nice, I think it's a good compromise to us not committing the huge capital project of going to the state radio system, which our peers have done. This allows us to talk on that network with just our managers, who are the ones who are the most important players anyways. So I think this is a reasonable compromise until I can find, hopefully, grant money in the future for the system itself. So this is, as I said, budgeted, and the quote from Motorola and Northeastern Communications is 29,881.03, which is attached.
And so this is the actual hardware.
These are hardware radios, correct?
So have that ongoing, don't we have Motorola ongoing lease expense?
Yes, so we have a service contract, which we are in year 5 of 5, which is the only other capital item in my budget, which is maintaining and updating the software and hardware for our entire public safety radio system. So that's police, fire, EMS, public works, CERT.
Yeah, and that's where they have us, so, yeah, okay.
Can you tell me, I'm looking at the invoice.
Yes.
And so I see one of the APX 8000 all band portable. Is it the same?
There are 2 that are black, 1 that is green, because I assumed that our law enforcement partners would not want a lime green radio.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually cheaper. The black ones are cheaper. There's I think it's a $100 upcharge on the green ones. Fire and OEM got the green ones so that everybody knows these are the expensive radios. Do not take these home.
It works.
So
Okay.
they're not assigned to one particular person. They're whoever's in that role at that moment.
Yeah, so the 2 I'm going to be giving to PD will be going to the chief officers, so that those hopefully will be their day-to-day regular use radios, then, and broadens their ability to talk to everybody, which they're not currently able to do. Then the ones that I have, I will end up with a total of 3 work in my office, which right now will be I'm loaning one to the fire department just to make things easier for them. And they're available for me to hand to whomever, depending on the situation. The superintendent, we used them for the election. We used it at the poll sites for the moderators. So they're available for that use.
Put a little Apple AirTag on them so we know where they are at all times.
You know, it's a very good point. I'm going to look into that because of the fact that they're so expensive and they're smaller. I'll talk to Chris because I don't know if we have something we do currently with the town, but it's actually a very fair point.
Yeah, because that is an expensive radio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Emergency Management Director to enter into a contract with Motorola Solutions in the amount of $29,881.03 for the purchase of 3 Motorola APX 8000 all band portable radios.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thanks, Russ.
All right. We'll just go to John and then we'll do the Dunning after that.
Yes, please. So on Zoom is DJ Martin with New Canaan Softball. Okay. New Canaan Softball came to Ryan and I and asked to do some additional work, some fence replacement, and improve the warm-up area at the girls' softball field. The warm-up area is at the Orchard Field. The other fence work is at both the Water Tower Field and the Orchard Field. They want to fully fund this work. So very simply, at the Orchard and the Water Tower Field, they want to replace existing worn-out fencing and posts as needed, and then add approximately 2 sections on each field, 35 feet long, on the back fence of the bench area. what this will allow is the young kids, when they overthrow first or third, the ball goes out of play and that's it. This will keep the ball in play and change the game for the young kids. We've also gone through the high school teams and their support this as long as it's the further back fence. The one issue we might have is on the water tower field, and we'll mark that out and check with Tennessee Gas or whatever they're called now, the gas pipeline that goes through there. We might not be able to put that fence on the first baseline because it's right near their right of way. But we'll meet with their representative before we do any work there. The warm-up mound area it's existing now. It's clay. It ruts itself out all the time. The fences are short and worn out. So what they want to do there is put in one small section. I'm saying AstroTurf, but really artificial turf, so that it can be used no matter what without having to re-rake it and everything else. And they want to replace the fence. And since it's AstroTurf, we're going to completely enclose it with fence just so that there's no vehicles driving across it and keep it nice and clean. So for all this work, comes to $40,250 with Exterior Living LLC of Stamford, Connecticut. They've done some work for us. They planted 5 apple trees that have done great up at the orchard field. So we look forward to doing this work. They have sent me a check already. I have not received it, but I have a feeling it will come in the mail today or tomorrow. And once we get that, we'll put the money into a special projects account, pay the bills out of it. New Canaan Softball's agreed to keep, if there's any contingency needed, for any additions to that.
This is amazing that softball is coming up this morning. The question I have for you, John, is this existing fencing, that's our responsibility? And is it just not in the is it not in the cycle to be replaced? We think it's pretty much okay where it is and it's down the road. It's like, should this be our response?
Some of it should be our responsibility, and we are very close to doing it. We prioritize our fence repairs.
Right,
as
and I know we have
through.
line items in that year in,
Yep.
year out, because
So,
it wears out.
But with them adding this 2 sections, the 2 wings to each field, they'd like to do it all at the same time and get it done for this spring. So.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
to New Canaan Softball for the generous contribution to the community for your athletes. So this is one of the things that makes New Canaan so amazing is,
Right.
you know, we have people willing to donate and kind of take things up to the next level that the town wouldn't necessarily support. So thank you very much, Mr. Martin, and your organization.
Yeah, great job. I like the warm-up area. You want it to chase balls around if it's fenced in. That's a smart design. And that's far enough away from the road there too. It looks like that.
It's far enough away from the road. It's out of play so that, you know, that we don't have to worry about balls coming too close to them. And
It's great. Great design. And the high school will be able to use it as well, right? So
definitely.
it's great.
Okay.
Win-win. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great job.
All right, so if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Parks and Recreation Department to enter into a contract with Exterior Living LLC in the amount of $40,250. The project entails fence replacement at the Orchard and Water Tower softball fields and will be fully funded by the New Canaan Softball Association.
Enthusiastically second. First.
Yeah, okay, I'll enthusiastically second. Thanks.
All right, and it's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and so the next item is the Dunning Stadium Scoreboard Play Clocks Project. Morning.
So in front of you, and thank you for adding it to the agenda. The scoreboard and play clocks for the Dunning Stadium, the Board of Ed has requested to have this brought forward outside of the normal 5-year capital plan, which would be April, May for an approval cycle. They're looking to replace the scoreboard and clocks for the season. This current system has aged out, so the technology has advanced, and so they're looking to get this authorization approved now so they can start the construction of it so it's ready for the season in place. They're looking at $201,000, and we're just looking to get it out of cycle right now so we can get it approved.
So, and this, just so everybody's clear, this is an item that's in this year's capital budget. And so, as long as the town council approves the capital budget, then this bond resolution will go forward. Because we can't pre-approve a project. So we're not taking away their ability to pull something out. So if they so
No,
choose.
right.
But if they approve it, then it's ready to go immediately.
Because it'll go to them. Exactly.
So I think I just
Don't
wanted to
hold
be
up the
clear
lights.
about that because it's in this year's capital budget.
Yeah, and this is a design that we've already talked about and looked at and approved, right? So this is really, we're just signaling the timing of it.
Right.
As far as.
It could
I can
start
tell.
immediately after the town council approves the budget.
So in the numbers, I think there was 200,000 in the budget. This is 214.
It's actually.
Sorry,
gonna be
it's 201. We're only asking for 201. The superintendent, he's at a conference representing Connecticut for, I think, the Superintendent's
yeah.
Association. They said the differential of the 14,000 would probably come from fundraising.
Okay.
Not probably will, I should say will.
If this was approved in the
Mhm.
budget, would this be up and ready for graduation? Do we know? No?
To be up and ready for all sports.
All right, I was hopeful. Okay.
All right. Any
All
other
right.
questions? All right. So do I just need to read the resolution section? Oh, add that to the resolution section.
No, you don't. You just have to get through your board. Yeah, just that section on the resolution.
Okay. All right. So if I could get a motion to approve a recommendation of the following resolution to the town council. A resolution authorizing an appropriation of $201,000 for the Dunning Stadium 2026 project and the financing of said appropriation by the issuance of general obligation bonds of the town and notes in anticipation of such bonds in an amount not to exceed $201,000.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, and then you have contracts for review.
Mm.
Do you have any questions? Let me know.
Winter's been tough, a lot of highway truck parts.
Yeah. A lot of salt. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the roads.
Yeah.
The sidewalks, which salt is on there. All right, if
The
there are,
sweepers are gonna be busy.
yeah,
No, that was good.
all right, Amy.
Good.
All right. And selectmen comments. So we will not be having, this meeting replaces our regularly scheduled meeting for next week. So it'll be, our next meeting is the 25th. So enjoy a few weeks.
You enjoy your,
Yeah,
you
fun.
enjoy
You
your
earned it.
vacation.
I am
You
looking forward
deserve
to
it.
my vacation.
You haven't had some time
so-
off in a while. So.
Yeah, so.
Where's that HR department telling you to take some time? Enjoy
right.
it.
All right, excellent.
All right, if I could get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thanks, guys.